heuristic curiosity is really normal, and I don't think it's a bad thing to a degree. We're fascinated with the fact that there is a dark side to human nature, and most people, fortunately, don't have that part of the continuum in their personality or in their traits. And so learning about that, making yourself aware that there are people who do, is a good thing. And listen, they don't have horns and a tail, so they just move among us. And to be aware that if your gut's telling you something's not right, then you need to react to that and not deny it. Who you're around, who you're allowing your children to be around. If something's telling you it's not okay, then this gives you a reference point of how dark things can get, how ugly people can be.
And people can truly be ugly. And speaking of true crime, Dr. Phil, the new Netflix series Dahmer, speaking of Jeffrey Dahmer, you actually spoke exclusively to one of the victim's sisters, Rita Isabel. Can you tell us what that was like?
Olivia, I can. And I spoke to survivors, family members who lost loved ones, and Rita was a perfect example. Her brother, Errol Lindsay, was killed by Dahmer, and in her impact statement in court, people will remember her because she kind of lost control and went after him physically. She won't even say his name now. She refers to him as Satan and was very offended by the way he was depicted in the Netflix series. I also talked to two men, Preston Davis and Billy Capshaw, who were victimized by Jeffrey Dahmer but survived. And it's such a great opportunity to learn from people that went through his MO, the things that he does, but lived to tell about it. And like Billy Capshaw, for example, was stabbed 30 times by Jeffrey Dahmer. He was raped. He was beaten. He had broken bones. Preston Davis, again, was beaten and tortured, and both of them survived to tell about it. And they say, let me tell you something. Who's depicted in that Netflix series and who Jeffrey Dahmer really is are two very different things. And we're here because we want to tell people the truth. We want people to know who this really is. And there is nothing here to glamorize, nothing here to sensationalize. This is a cold-blooded, torturous rapist and killer.
And Dr. Phil, it's so important that you are helping to tell some of these stories and uncover this truth about Jeffrey Dahmer. What do you hope that people take away and learn from some of these interviews?
I have an exclusive interview with his father, never before seen footage of me sitting down and asking him very pointed questions. And even his own father, who supposedly knew him as well as anyone, ignored red flags of this young man pre-murder spree, collecting dead animals, and it involved sexual interaction and bizarre behaviors, and nothing of consequence done about it at all. He brought, once the killing started, he would bring trophies home, body parts from people he had killed, and the father was easily deflected from really discovering these things. Had he done so, I think many lives could have been saved, because it would have been up, it would have been all over if he had just asked one more question. And that didn't happen. This was the perfect storm. This Jeffrey Dahmer story was the perfect storm of denial and enablement and incompetency on different parts. And I want people to come away from this and saying, I'm not going to be part of any of that. I'm going to be on the alert. I'm going to be aware of what people can do, and I'm not going to fall prey to it because I'm naive.
Well, I love that, Dr. Phil, that you're just hoping people trust their instinct and take so much away from this. It's a 3-part series that will be released this week. When it comes to the interviews and hearing from some of the survivors and the family members, what do you hope that information-wise, when it comes to Jeffrey Dahmer, people recognize about this monster?
I hope they recognize that there are people in this world that they kind of go beyond diagnosis, and they're just pure evil, and they walk among us. And so we have to protect ourselves. And for the people that came and spoke, they wanted to speak their truth, and it was very cathartic for them. You could see in their faces, you could hear in their voices that it was very curative for them to be able to say, okay, you've seen the fancy part, now I'm going to tell you the real truth. The number of lives, I mean, 17 murders that are known, hundreds and hundreds of lives destroyed by the impact of all of this. It's tragic. It's very, very tragic.
It's very tragic, but we appreciate and look forward to this 3-part series coming this week. Dr. Phil, thank you so much for your time.
Good. Starts tomorrow, and I hope people tune in.
Like Dr. Phil said, you can catch part 1 of his 3-part series starting tomorrow through Thursday right here on KRON 4 at 4. For a complete list of our TV listings, just